I'm sure you've heard the story of a man swallowed by a giant fish. But do you know why it happened? Let's unpack Jonah's journey from defiance to redemption. Jonah was a prophet in ancient Israel, and one day God gave him a mission. Go to Nineveh, modern-day Mosul in Iraq, and warn them to stop being so evil. As it says in Jonah 1:1-2, the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah hated Nineveh. They were enemies of Israel, and he didn't want them to get a second chance, so he hopped on a ship going the opposite way. Just like Jonah 1:3 says so. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. Big mistake. A massive storm hit, and the sailors, terrified, tossed Jonah overboard. As it's written in Jonah 1:15, then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. Enter the famous part, Jonah was swallowed by a giant fish. Jonah 1:17 says, now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Inside the belly, Jonah prayed a humble prayer, admitting he'd messed up and asking for mercy. Jonah 2:1-2 tells us, from inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, in my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. 3 days later, the fish spat him out, right onto the beach. This time Jonah obeyed. As Jonah 2:10 says, and the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. He warned Nineveh, and, surprise, that the people actually listened. Jonah 3:5 says, the Ninevites believed God. A fast was proclaimed, and all of them, from the greatest to the least, put on sackcloth. They changed their ways, and God forgave them. Jonah 3:10 says, when God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction he had threatened. Jonah, still grumpy, watched from a distance. God grew a plant to give him shade, then took it away, teaching Jonah a lesson about compassion. Jonah 4:6-11 tells how God said, should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people? So what's the big takeaway? The book of Jonah isn't just about a fish. It's about second chances, mercy, and the idea that nobody's beyond forgiveness. And as for whether it's true or a parable, Jesus mentioned Jonah, so it matters. Jonah's story reminds us God's love is bigger than our grudges.